Thanks for joining us once again here at Chopping It Up for another mini episode of Prime Cuts. This week we're covering episode 1 titled El Jefe of season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. This series was developed by Sam Raimi, among others, in 2015 and features the living legend, the one, the only, Bruce Campbell, back as Ash. A quick synopsis is as follows. The series is set approximately 30 years after the first 3 Evil Dead films and serves as a sequel to that trilogy. Ash Williams works at the Value Stop as a simple stock boy. Also working at the store is his friend Pablo and the object of Pablo's affections, Kelly. Ash has seemingly done very little with his life since returning from 1300 AD at the end of Army of Darkness, and the beginning of the series sees him living in a trailer and drinking alone in bars, which is awesome. However, Ash must soon renounce his routine existence and become a hero once more by taking up arms and facing the titular evil dead. Pablo and Kelly decide to join him on his quest to save humanity. So we're going to pick up the conversation from there. As a quick reminder, Prime Cuts is designed as a quick-hitting free-form conversation where we discuss a breadth of horror mediums, including anthologies, theatrical releases, graphic novels, shorts, and other forms of media. There is no set agenda here as we shoot from the hip and provide any gleaned insights from our respective viewings. So, guys, first, has anyone seen this series previously?
Yeah, I've seen all the way through season 3.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is it. There's only 3 seasons, right? There
think there's a rumored fourth season.
That got
They did
slashed.
canon? Okay.
Yeah, that's
well,
not
there you
happening. Jazz, what were you going to say?
Just that I never watched the series all the way through, but I did watch like the first few episodes when it first came out,
Okay.
and I enjoyed them. I don't know why I didn't follow through. Maybe
But
my subscription expired or something.
And we are all people who have seen the OG Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah, it was like some of the first DVDs I bought when DVDs became a thing.
Evil Dead 2 is maybe my favorite horror comedy of all time. Like I love it. And I probably haven't watched, because he's in everything. I probably haven't watched everything Bruce Campbell's done, but I've made a run at it, right? Like Frisco County, like all the stuff.
Yeah, he's just like so charismatic. Like off the charts charm. He's a funny dude. He's one of those guys, and this is also a product of, I think, any Raimi vehicle is like, we always talk about, I'm like everything camp for me, anything camp. Right. I love that. Right. But it's usually born from something completely unintentional and happens organically. Like something that's where the so bad that it's good thing comes from, is like, oh man, this is watchable for all the wrong reasons, the unintended reasons. But Raimi and Campbell, for me, they're able to thread the needle of that intentionally camp thing.
I honestly don't know how they do it. It's kind of amazing.
It's incredible. Like Army of Darkness, like even takes the campiness aspect to like an even higher level, and that's like possibly the most quotable movie of my life. We'd always be quoting that stuff to one another and stuff like that with people growing up. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you're coming to this having seen any of the movies and you haven't seen the series yet, it definitely, like Jazz is sort of just alluding to, it adheres more closely to Army of Darkness. That's the kind of humor that's the balance of humor and horror and gore that you're getting is from Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 2 is more, I don't want to say more serious, but is that right? I mean, that's...
Well, I think I was thinking about it honestly when Jay said it, that it's basically like, I think Army of Darkness is almost absurdist, right? With all the little Bruce Campbells and like the windmills, like everything in the windmill is completely off the chain, right? Like, but Army of Darkness, that's why I like Evil Dead 2 a little bit better. It is because it's a little less ridiculous, right? But they're both so good that I'm splitting hairs, right?
I think you go from Evil Dead, which at least was which is disturbing and is a straight up horror movie, right?
Very much a straight up horror, yeah.
And so Ash Bruce Campbell, hews closely to that, right? And then you get
Mhm.
2, which is essentially a reimagining. I don't even know what you want to
Yeah.
call it, right? It's
It
not a
acts as if
sequel. It's
one never happened,
right.
as far as I could
Uh,
tell.
and that's where you really get Bruce Campbell doing his own thing. But it's a progression, and by the time Army of Darkness hits, you're so over the top with it, it's
Yeah.
insane. But it still somehow manages to be. It doesn't turn me off.
I think
So
it's him. I just think he is, like you said, that charming. He's just
well,
Yeah. Well, I
even
mean, Evil Dead 2 is effectively like a one man show,
yeah,
for all intents and purposes. And then large swaths of Army of Darkness kind of fall into that same bucket, even though it's a much larger movie, and there's a lot of other actors and characters who are excellent and really funny and everything in their own right. There's huge swaths of the movie that are effectively like Bruce Campbell, doing his shtick against himself.
Can we do
So
like an Evil Dead 2 Broadway musical? I feel like that would work really well.
I think it's been done, right? I think there's been
Yeah, I
stage.
think it has. Like, I had the video game, like the Evil Dead video game. That was PlayStation 2, I believe. But yeah, they've done a lot of different things. Like, I've never bought the Necronomicon, like book they actually have, where it's penned just like it.
I assume it's
But
bound in human
in human
flesh, and
flesh, yeah,
yeah, of
exactly,
course,
yeah.
written in blood.
And go
Well, I
ahead,
was going to
sorry.
say, so just and if you are for the uninitiated, you've never seen the movies, and for whatever reason you want to give the series a shot, it's actually an easy thing to do,
Oh, yeah.
right? So you have this cabin in the woods. This young man and his girlfriend go up there for a night away. They come upon the cabin was like, what was it, an old, not a scientist? What was he?
Yeah, yeah, he was a
Archaeologist.
science. He was an
Archaeologist.
archaeologist.
An
Yeah.
But yeah,
archaeologist who of course leaves his recording equipment there and the incantations that will like animate
yep.
this book of the dead and bring back demons to the earth, which of course they they play the recording, which is effectively reading it. You bring back the demons, and off we go, and they're stuck in the cage. It's basically jazz. It's
so
your siege
fun.
horror, if you really, you
Yeah,
think about it, right? It's stuck
Yeah.
in there. So now we're removed 30 years from that nightmarish thing. Of course, Ash is the only one who makes it through to the morning. 30. You think he gets rid of the demons by the end of the movies. The third one, Army of Darkness, he's back in time. The long and the short of it is he continually gets the demons back where they're supposed to be. But now we're 30 years later. He's stopped trying to do that. He's basically just become a caretaker of the book to make sure no one else does anything with it. He's like he's in Michigan somewhere, right? And he's in what do you call it? A trailer park.
Yeah, trailer park. Yeah.
He's in his trailer
working at
park.
like S Stop or whatever.
No, he's
Yeah,
still at Value Stop, jumping around from
Value
location to
Stop. That's what
location.
It's S Smart in the originals, but yeah,
S-Mart,
now
right.
it's
it's
Value
S
Stop.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's
That's
it.
right.
Shop
Shop
Smart.
Smart. Yeah.
S Smart.
Shop S-Mart. Well, the best is so they opens up and you're just like, first of all, you're happy to see him. And he's doing the same, he's more overweight and he's older now. And he's probably like 50 or whatever.
He
And
wears a girdle at some point.
yeah, you're right. The first thing you see is him going to the Woodsman bar in some shithole, and he shows up 10 minutes before closing because he wants to get laid. He sees this nice young lady of the night. I don't know what her deal was, and he ends up having sex with her doggy style in the bathroom, as is his wont. And my favorite line he says is, "You like my wood?" He says to her in the middle of the thing, which of course is his wooden hand, and also
As he's smacking her behind with it. Yeah.
smacking her behind. And so from there, you get a flashback. He gets a vision of her in the middle of this that she's a demon, and he freaks him out. He hasn't seen anything like that. Portends bad things. Goes back into his memory, and he apparently got really super stoned. Was there acid? I can't remember.
I think it was just high. I think it was just.
I just can't imagine what kind of weed you're smoking that gets you high enough to break out. So this young lady he has with him back in the trailer. She's like reading poetry. She's got some shit tattooed on her. And he's like, "Oh, I got some good poetry, And he whips out the Necronomicon and they read it. And then he, of course, remembers, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. However, like last weekend or whenever I did that.
Yeah. I also love, and this is very much like carrying forward from Army of Darkness, how once he's known he's done something wrong, he's just like, like, oh yeah, I might have done something here. He's like mumbling on the phone,
Yeah.
just like just like in Army of Darkness, where he's like,
Right.
and you said the words, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
said them
no,
basically. Yeah,
yeah.
look, maybe I didn't say every stupid syllable, but I said it, all right? Yeah.
He
Uh,
is half a step away from being Homer Simpson, right?
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
really is.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because there is that progression as I just went through the original, the OG Evil
Yep.
Dead, and then part 2, and then Army. He's making the journey, and this is if you've seen the original Karate Kids, right? Johnny
Mhm.
Lawrence, the bad guy, right, from Cobra Kai. Then if you've watched Cobra Kai, the series, the
Yep.
TV series, if you guys have,
Yep.
there's the journey you go on from like Johnny Lawrence, who like,
Definition of 80s badass, yeah.
Yeah.
badass dude, right? Does he slap Elizabeth's shoe? I can't remember, but he may as well have, right? He's that kind
Yeah,
of dude,
he's
right?
pretty tough.
So, you go from that to now in Cobra Kai, he's this fucking goofball. Like, and
Yeah.
like you're saying, and that happened also, it happens Al Bundy, Married with Children. Al Bundy is, whatever. And by season 6, he's gold mining in, burnt scrotum, New Mexico, and he's a goofball. Everything is,
That's why your comparison or whatever you want to call it to Army of Darkness is so apt. It's because in Evil Dead, the first one, it, like you said, it's a straight horror movie. He's just like the protagonist. By the time you're getting to Evil Dead 2, it's almost like an audition for people that will later become Bruce Campbell fans, right? And then
yeah.
he's fully shticking it by the time it's it's Army of Darkness. And this is just that, right? Like this is fan service, and God bless him for doing it because I loved it. I eat it up.
I'm so into it that like, and this is again my own little thing that I get obsessed with, the interior lives of these characters.
Yeah.
You could do a series where it's just Ash in the trailer park, like meandering around shitty bars and getting laid, and like it had nothing to do with horror stuff. I would just watch Ash like now, like what he's doing.
Well, they kind of did. It was called Burn Notice. With
Yeah.
did you ever see that show?
I never saw
yeah.
that. I never saw
That one. That was another.
He's like a retired Navy SEAL, and the main character is like a, I don't know,
CIA agent. Yeah.
They did another God, I don't want to go too off tangent here, but they did another one that was sort of like Ash vs. Evil Dead. It didn't have Bruce Campbell, and it had that guy. Oh, he's one of the two guys from Office Space who were reviewing the efficiency. He's a famous
Oh
mustache.
yeah. It's called Stan versus Evil.
Stan
It's
versus
good.
Evil.
It's good. I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, if you dig this, that's like a another version of this. But so just to run through, so after he realizes and remembers he's done this, he's going to contact the guy who he originally identified the book for a book antique store, an antique bookstore, and
I have the website name. Hold on. If no one's squatted on this site, go ahead. I'll find it.
Well, so he and his coworker Pablo, who idolizes him and valorizes him, basically thinks that he's the chosen one. He's got an uncle who's a shaman. He believes all this stuff about what Ash is really there to do. And then they also pull in a new coworker who Pablo has a crush on, Kelly, whose name is Kelly, played by Dana DiLorenzo, who, just if I can go aside here, I think you guys will appreciate. Jazz knows exactly where I'm fucking going with this. Dana DiLorenzo is the only one who could rival my lust and love for Darcy DeMoss from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Dana DiLorenzo, smoking fucking hot.
Yeah, she's pretty ridiculous.
The raspy voice, she screams Jersey to me, all of that. I like it. A little bit of a schnoz on her. It's wonderful.
I put the site name in the chat. It's booksfrombeyond.com. If no one's bought that, I'm absolutely going to go try and reserve that domain.
So then he gets, of course, the demons start coming out in the warehouse. He gets saved. He gets attacked by this little doll-like thing. Gets a tooth pulled out. Pablo helps him out, smashes the thing with the little demon with the shovel. They go back to his trailer, where the demons attack in the trailer, and that's when Ash realizes he can't run from this thing and busts out the chainsaw, takes off some heads, and we get some good gore. And that's That's basically the first episode. Am I
Yeah,
missing
that's the whole
anything?
thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, other than him saying groovy at the end, I mean, which
Yeah.
is, what we all came here for, right?
Yeah.
So I have, since Joel, since you've watched the whole series, uh, my impression from like the first episode and what I remember from the previous times I watched the first couple episodes is like they never reference the going back in time portion, right? It's just kind of like
No.
the continuity continues from like Evil Dead 2 onward. Is that basically right?
Yeah, I think so. And basically, so I read in this article, they were saying that, like, because of legal reasons, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what that means, they can't even reference Army of Darkness.
Oh,
I
okay.
assume it's like Raimi doesn't own that outright anymore
Got
or
it.
something like that. So yeah, they basically play it as if it's right through Evil Dead 2.
Got it.
Yeah, and the other thing that happens as the season goes on, which is kind of why I thought it was petering out. Like, okay, I came there for Bruce Campbell. I think that's obvious by the way I've been talking. They started like looking into Kelly and Pablo's lives, and, like,
Yeah.
making them more, and it's fine. They do a good job. They're good characters, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not why I came to the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came here. We came here to see Bruce Campbell riff.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's wonderful what they bring out. They end on a high note. You get like a sort of psychedelic ending with the music and the imagery and visuals at the end.
Oh,
And,
did you mention Lucy Lawless yet?
well,
Oh
but
yeah,
she's not.
she was in there. That's
Yeah,
right.
She only shows up for a little bit in this, but she plays a pretty major role like later in the series.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I watched all 3 seasons as well. It's fuzzy for me because I like binge watched them during the pandemic, and but yeah, they lost the plot by 3. So I did want season 4 just because I'm a glutton and I wanted to
Yeah.
have a series to watch. But yeah, like you said, they sort of veered away from Ash centric stuff, and you can only do so much of that. I did like, as far as like the character development, and as much as there is any, because they're already sort of built, like they're ready to go, right?
Right.
That he's still driving the same car.
Yeah.
And first of all, it's a gag, right? It's this old fucking beater,
Yeah,
but it's a gag because, and it's also a little bit of insight into who he is. He has not grown or reflected an iota in 30
Nope.
years. He hasn't dealt with the likely PTSD he has, or the trauma that he was inflicted upon him. And so maybe that goofball persona, and I'm just maybe giving the writing more credit than it deserves, but like, he's not going to acknowledge that. Like he's just who he is, and he's going to lean into the shtick, and he's going to the absurdity of it all. But he is a badass. That shit comes out at the end when he's pressed up against it, and Kelly's against the wall getting choked by one of the demons, and he just realizes, all right, the switch turns on, and there he goes.
So he is the chosen one, right? Like, as they say in this, and like if anyone's gonna watch this series, I recommend staying in until, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not much of one. If you look at IMDb, it won't surprise you. But Lee Majors, from
The Fall Guy.
and like a few, wasn't he $6 Million Man too?
He was also $6 Million Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Is his father, right? So like seeing them share screen time together is kind of fucking great. Like they're amazing together.
You get to, I think, another part that, at least for me, I really liked, which is, and I'm with you, Jazz, most of the time with the siege horror, and that's the appeal of Evil Dead 2 specifically. But now we get to see him like traverse the country. Season 2 starts in Miami, I think, or in Florida, but like you're on a road trip with Ash to try to figure out how to put the toothpaste back in the tube, to get the demons back in the Necronomicon. And that's awesome because it allows you so many side quests and so many set pieces and situational humor, and the gore is just crazy good, right? They give it to you. Sam Raimi always gives that to you. Lots of blood, lots of heads being chopped off, dismemberment, stuff like that. So it's a fun ride, man. It is a fun watch. I never get tired. I didn't watch it until today because I just didn't have time. But when I did watch it today, I was like, man, I'm going to start the series again. Like I'm going to start watching the series, or at least a few more into it, because it's easy watching. You can switch off your brain a little bit. You don't have to think too hard. And it does everything it's supposed to do and hits all the notes perfectly.
And we could all use a little more Bruce Campbell in our lives.
That's just it, man.
I never get enough.
And he flashes a smile at Kelly too. And she's this young, attractive woman, and he's this old, dumpy, pot-bellied, guy who's working as a stock boy at the Value Mart.
Who literally has dentures, right?
He does have dentures. And he goes, at one point, you're gonna think about it, and it's okay if you want to think about it. She's like, get the fuck out of here, you're disgusting. But by the end of the first episode, after he blasts some of these demons out, she's kind of looking at him. And
she's looking at him.
She's totally checking him out. Yeah.
But they do quickly. They do away with any intimations that something's going to happen between them. Instead there's like a Pablo Kelly thing that they tease for a while. It's fun. It's a romp, if you want to call it that. It's the perfect balance between humor and horror, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Are we still doing scores for this? I don't even remember. We're not doing cleavers. Weren't we doing something else, Jazz?
Machetes.
We're doing machetes for this. I don't remember how this happened. Man,
out of 5, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's perfect, but I'll go like a 4.2 machetes for this. It's close, but I guess you can't give a 5 to this. I don't know.
I said 4.5 just because it's not. I mean, I don't like horror comedy as a genre enough to go 5 with it, but this is as good as I think that gets, personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed the Evil Dead series, the original trilogy at least, then I mean, this is a 4.5 for sure.
And you get
perfect and fun, and it's just like you can't not enjoy it if you like those movies.
Yeah, and you get 3 full seasons. And what is it? How many episodes are in each? I think
like 8. 8 a season,
8 or 10, something like that. So you get you can make a pretty good run. And again, it's one of those things you could binge watch. It's easy. You don't have to think too hard, and it gives you what you want. And for the people who, just like I said, if you've never seen the originals, you could start with this, especially after listening to the Prime Cuts app. I mean, you're off and running, and you can watch it, and then go back and watch those. Man, they're all linked together, all in the same universe. It's all really fun. But I don't have anything else. You guys want to keep this nice and tidy?
Let's do it.
I think so.
All right. Thank you for joining us once again for the latest Prime Cuts episode. We'll be back shortly with another one for you. Talk to you later. Bye.